Today we have to cross a very tough current area here called Fakk al-Asad, like the jaw of the lion, or al-Bab, which means the gate. It's a very narrow channel between the very strong current anyway coming in. We have to cross this channel, and if we cross this, we're committing. Even the ship here, the support ship, or even the dinghy may not be able to come for our help in case weather turns against us. The currents and the tides and the waves could become really fierce there, very strong.
Bab, this is what we call the bab here, the entrance, the doorway. So if you're going to be here at 12 on high tide, that should be the highest waves. That's what we estimate, yeah? The highest waves should be.
There's risks, there's calculated risks, there's risks everybody takes, right? You can't do everything safely. There has to be some sort of risk, right? Then you weigh up the safety on the risk. What can happen? What are we carrying? How long can we stay? Can we wait it out 24 hours? If we do get carried out, how do we get contact?
We'll agree on the risk. You know he's not going to come and help us if we need help, okay? So we're all on our own. We go together. If anything happens, then it's the rule stick. Self, team, gear, equipment.
Being careful is a wise move in highly variable conditions such as these. Despite high levels of preparation, conditions were looking good. Although a strong current was working against them, the team made better headway than expected, determined to cross the bay, leading from the Lion's Mouth before conditions changed again. Rounding the corner, the sun came out, and they followed the contour of the cliff face. Despite the natural beauty, floating rubbish gets trapped in nooks and crannies carried by the currents.
Congratulations for the human race. Billions of years of creation. Now, in a couple of decades, our garbage is not enough. We're filling the earth and the seas with garbage. We don't know what to do with it. Killing everything with it. It's even more than the fish. That's how smart humans are. What a race. The animals are better.
This jagged coastline is simply stunning, and the presence of wildlife is all around them. Ospreys soar across the seascape and nest in high vantage points where they can spot fish miles away.
Here the osprey nest you can see, and you can hear the babies there, the chicks. It's probably feeding them. We have seen 2 eggs in most of osprey nests. We haven't seen 3 yet, so it may have 1 or 2. They are different in size at different places. You see them in Bahrain, in Qatar, and in the UAE, and now here in Oman.
Here conditions are so good, this nest has 3 chicks. Interestingly, it seems a 4th egg was laid, but unable to hatch, it was simply cast aside.
This is, I would say, the most natural and the most beautiful natural location that I have seen for the osprey so far. It's outlooking his bay. This is his kingdom. The fish are here. He can get what he wants. Definitely a beautiful view from up there, and the ospreys have the best view ever. They see their food, they see any fish that bounces, and they can go straight to it. These rocks are absolutely magnificent. You look at them from outside, they're unbelievable, no description. You go on them and then you go in them, and that's, I'm not even going to start describing. This is true, this is creation. You feel creation, you are in it, you are embedded in it. What a feeling. I'm so happy it is still natural here, and it is not touched by development. I hope it stays like that. This has to be a UNESCO protected heritage area like Socotra in Yemen, or these big places. So when we say what's in Musandam, everything is in Musandam. We kayak, of course. You can go hiking. You have climbing. You can go and jump off the cliff. What else do you want? There's no limit. You can go and explore yourself, explore old villages, discover some old graves. You will find artifacts. I've seen ceramics and pottery. So much to go and explore in here. You cannot, man. And this will be magnificent, man. This is like Mother Earth's connection is here.
The next day, Bashar is keen for another dive.
We are in Khor Habalain and we are close to the end of it, and we found an island here that we're going to dive. We're getting our stuff ready now. We hope we see something. Already the visibility doesn't look very good. We see lots of particulate matter hanging in the water. I hope closer to the island it will be a better visibility. It does appear to be quiet, no currents, which is good. At least we can be calm and try to get some nice shots there. So maybe we have a more peaceful day today.
The sheltered waters inside this core have enabled corals to thrive in the nutrient-rich waters. Vast expanses of Acropora, or tabletop coral, and Porhyotes have been doing well here, unlike elsewhere in the Gulf that has seen so much bleaching over recent years. Clownfish occupy their anemones in symbiotic harmony. More than 900 species of fish are found in these plankton-rich waters, ranging from sergeant majors to whale sharks. A school of juvenile parrotfish move hungrily across the reef.
This area here is very interesting. If we go to it, we can climb up the mountain and then you can see the Arabian Gulf from one side and the Gulf of Oman from the other side. It is quite extreme, you know. It's really nice. The color is different also. This is one of the peaks in Musandam, and this is Khor Habalain. We're just at the beginning of it. Today we have a full day with the kayaks here. It's moments like that that you can appreciate nature, connect with it, and get deeper into the feeling. So it's been forming for hundreds of millions of years and still moving. This is how you admire creation. It's endless. It's amazing. It's beyond what your mind can ever imagine. Only in Musandam you can feel this serenity, the solitude, this purity of nature. This has to be a world protected area. There's no choice.
A few hours later, the team is back on the water, heading south, determined to reach the village of Lima before the weather turns against them. In the distance, Lima Rock is a welcome sight, a popular dive site for UAE divers, taking only 1.5 hours by dive boat from the small fishing harbour of Dibba, on the boundaries between Oman and the UAE. As forecast, the weather changed really suddenly, and the kayaks had to make a mad dash to the safety of the support vessel. Or so they thought.
We came to the port here, Lima port, and then we could not stay here. We had to leave in the rough sea.
Having been refused a berth at Lima Harbour meant that the support vessel would have to chance it and ride out the high winds all the way to Dibba. But within half an hour back at sea, things went terribly wrong.
Something happened with the waves, and the mast stays, they broke, and then the mast itself, almost half or more than half broke, and it was tipping right and left very dangerously.
Come here! Holy shit. Get away from the mast! Come this way! Get away! Come here! Bashar, the mast! Come away! It's gonna break! Mansour, come! Quick, Mansour! Quick! Wow!
And it was tipping right and left very dangerously. So we returned immediately on emergency, and we came in the port, and now we're trying to fix. That could have snapped any time at sea, and that would have been a really big disaster.
Thankfully, this time, the harbour master allowed them to dock alongside the ferry, and the skipper started to arrange repairs from a local workshop, at least to help them to secure the mast well enough to get the boat to Dibba and Fujairah.
Another disaster at sea. So this is second ship. I don't know how we should feel. We feel really bad. What is the reason these things happening? I have no idea. Is it the regulations? Is it the inspections? Is it the state of the ships here in the area that is not safe? I have no idea. Or is it, again, we had a night in a graveyard as well? Is that it? I have no idea. We are welcomed by the locals. They're helping us enormously. We're gonna wait 2 days until the storm is gone here, and then we're going to move on alone or with the Coast Guard to Dibba, and we will continue from there onwards, maybe with the land support alone. We are at the end of our trip. Fortunately, nobody is hurt again, and we hope it stays like that. So today we go from Lima to Dibba, Oman. We're going by the barge because our second ship now has also been, you want to say, compromised. To me, really a sad ending. I didn't hope it was going to be like this. We have lost some kayaking time and places to explore because of these issues again. And now we take the boat and we miss an important part that we wanted to continue in Musandam. So we have missed from Khor Habalain up to here a big part. We have missed the diving, and now we go to Fujairah, and then we still have some things to deal with, ending in Kalba very soon on the 9th.
So, rather indignantly, the team are forced to join a 4-hour ferry ride to Dibba, bringing them back to the border of the UAE, where they were met by the ground support vehicles. For purposes of passing through passport control between Oman and the UAE, they load the vehicles and trailer in order to cross the border by road.
Dibba and Emirat. Can either cross by trailer through the Emirates here.
Once through to the UAE side of Dibba, they get back on the water and head south to rendezvous with the UAE Ministry of Environment and Coast Guard officials, who have arranged a special reception at the Radisson Blu Resort. Having laid on an elaborate spread and press conference, the ministry and the resort have become keen to highlight Fujairah's support an appreciation for what the K2O expedition stands for.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام. نرحب بفريق كياك كويت.
طبعا هم شافوا وايد اشياء موجوده من الوود.
What we have seen through the countries from Kuwait all the way to here, the problems in the sea are real. They are not only scientists speaking and no one believes them. We have been to the most beautiful areas in the Gulf, amazing places. You would never think the Gulf would have such places, and we're privileged through the kayak to see these places. And you reach these places, then you find a pile of plastic and a pile of garbage. This is really sad.
The team also got a chance to encourage a group of young children learning to kayak and to respect the sea.
Or kayak harder.
Here's a question. I want you to really think really hard, okay? What are the 3 golden rules of kayak?
We can put it under. We can
This is Diba Rock. It's a marine protected area. This is well known for turtles.
Yeah.
Normally the turtles staying here. We're going to descend.
The following morning, the guys were taken diving at Dibba Rock and given a chance to explore some of the UAE's top dive sites. Since rescuing 3 young turtles on their trip so far, and since learning firsthand how important the Gulf waters are for these endangered animals, having a chance to spend an hour underwater with turtles was something they wouldn't miss for all the money in the world. But Bashar was still hoping to see some big animals, in particular sharks. Since losing the opportunity to dive at Lima Rock on their way through, Jeff arranged a dive boat trip, returning back to Lima Rock for 2 dives. Lima Rock is a popular dive site for divers in the UAE, and it's not hard to see why. One thing is clearly apparent. The nutrients circulating through the Musandam support the marine life inside the Gulf. Despite being worryingly close to one of the world's busiest shipping lanes, reefs are still vibrant and rich, although bleaching is finding its way even here over the last 2 years. Turtles, rays, sharks, and a multitude of fish and invertebrates thrive here. Knowing that this particular corner of the Musandam is known for some of the rarest fish encounters of all, Bashar's hopes for big animals are finally realized. Although endangered in some parts of the world, leopard sharks are seen at most dives here at Lima Rock. A bottom feeder with a preference for crustaceans and flat fish, leopard sharks possess some of the most acute sensory systems of all sharks. The mola mola, or sunfish. This bizarre-looking fish is the heaviest bony fish in the world, reaching up to 1,000 kilos in weight. A number of them come here to a cleaning station to have parasites removed by reef fish. But finally, on the second dive, Bashar was treated to the biggest fish in our oceans, the endangered whale shark. This gentle giant is in fact the largest of the sharks and the largest fish in the oceans. Ironically, being a plankton feeder, it consumes the tiniest planktonic organisms in the sea. Interestingly, most of the whale sharks seen in these waters are juveniles, indicating the vicinity of a breeding ground or nursery that scientists are determined to prove makes Arabia's whale sharks critical to the survival of the Indian Ocean and global populations. But for Bashar, filming this gentle giant up close is a fitting end to this expedition's dives. After more than 2,000 kilometers, 3 months at sea, 5 countries and 2 seas, the final approach to the end of the expedition in Kalba is only a few hours away. After so many fascinating moments and kayaking challenges, the elation of finishing is tempered by his concerns. Concerns about the true state of our marine environment and how this region's development is impacting important marine life. On the other hand, they have seen the extent of an impressive commitment from the region's conservation authorities responsible for protecting the seas, getting to know the people behind this conservation and generally motivating and sharing the public's concerns. But the main concern remains the lack of support and education from within the general public, who continue to discard their rubbish, treating the sea as if it is a dumping ground. Plastics and other pollutants are changing the dynamics of the world's seas, and we must start to take responsibility for our own rubbish-generating consumer habits. That is the driving force behind this amazing effort and these 3 men in their kayaks.
This is really connecting with nature. It's really connecting with the creation. It's really connecting with the, if you want to call it, with the cosmos, you know?
With the first kayaking expedition ever of its kind in this region reaching the finish line to a warm welcome, amidst celebration and appreciation from many, it is clear to see that the seafaring traditions that are steeped in this region's heritage and culture are still very much alive. Generation after generations of these coastal Arabs have shared the love and appreciation of the many gifts of God within the bounty of the sea.
In the towns, in the villages, all we see is buildings and cement, and we see crowds and people rushing for work. They will never dream of seeing this, I think. If they come and see this, they are going to connect again. Lots of issues to deal with. The big problem is the execution of the laws and the tightening of the laws in terms of how they fit to save the environment. The cause that will continue is education, I would say, number 1, legislation, enforcement, and general awareness in all the public. We have to communicate, and again, to communicate, to connect, you have to be there, you have to spend the time. You can't just go through it fast. You have to feel it. It's gonna talk to you. If you have the seed in you of speaking to nature, I think kayak is the way. The spiritual part of it is continuous. It does not stop. It continues not just for nature, it continues because of the people. You see how the people here are one, but they don't know it. They think they're all scattered. There is nothing to bring them together anymore. And I'm feeling it. They are feeling it too. And that's why they are with us. They are not with us because they are officials. They are with us because they are the people of this area. Some of them, a lot of them know what is bad for the environment, for the sea, and others don't. We need to be more so we can let everyone know this treasure has been given to us. What this resource we have that we are destroying, that is so worth of protecting and keeping it for the future.
Once the expedition draws to a finish line, this is the start of a bigger set of goals. Hopefully the first of a series of expeditions that circle and navigate the whole coastline of Arabia's peninsula.
صاحب مدير بلدية مدينة كلباء، السادة الحضور الكرام، يشرفنا اليوم
ضيف القادم من الكويت رحالة تلقى ياكل أمجاد. حياكم الله، حياكم الله مع كل مجداف.
But first, it was time to get back to family and home, and to a royal welcome from Kuwait's ruling family.
نميل إلى البحرين كم المسافة، ونتحكى من البحرين إلى قطر كمسافة، ولا المملكة العربية السعودية، ولا دولة الإمارات، ومرورا في طبعا شقيقة عمان. فهذه التحديات في هذا القارب الصغير لمسات الكويت القديمة اللي يتحدون الصعاب ويطلعون في هذه البحار من أجل رفعة الكويت ورفعة علم الكويت ورفعة موارد الكويت. فنشكره في هذا اليوم من الأعياد الوطنية طبعا اليوم الموجود.